Good evening, ISU community. So welcome to this community event, which is kind of a special event that we're trying out. So far, it's been quite successful. You are a total of roughly 100 people who have registered for this event. Some of you coming from near, some far away. Who's coming from far away? Where are y'all coming from? I don't know. We're about to find out how far away. What? Who do we have? We've got the U.S. Anyone further from the U.S.? Argentina. Oh, yeah. So a little bit of everyone from all over the world, and that's pretty exciting because it's a Wednesday night, but you're all here, and I think that just says how much it is that you're passionate about ISU and passionate about each other especially. So I think that deserves one more round of applause. Thank you for coming. I'd like to do just a really quick exercise. If you would, please raise your hand if you are an MSS student. All right, now MSS students, pay very close attention because these are your future employers. Raise your hand if you are an alumni. Wow. Okay, not bad. We're going to narrow that down just a little bit more. I would like you to raise your hand if you're a member of the Academic Council. Okay, great. These brave souls have been locked up in a meeting room for the past 3 days, working very, very hard, making sure that we have the top quality academics that we need here at ISU. So thank you to you folks. Raise your hand if you are a member of the Board of Trustees. Okay. These folks are about to be locked up in a room tomorrow. So, you know, be good, be wise. But also a very important group of people who help keep ISU going. So thank you to you folks as well. We have a really great evening planned for tonight. We've got, of course, you've seen it outside already, some food, some drinks. We've got opportunities for networking with those folks who you just saw raise their hands. We've got maybe, we'll see how it goes, maybe a little bit of dancing as the night goes on. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But that's not all. On the first floor, you've heard maybe about the ISU studio, which is open and available if there's anybody who would like to say a few words on camera about how ISU changed your lives, because I think that's a pretty common thing for all of us, right? We're all here because ISU has changed our lives, and we want to hear about it so that we can tell the world and do even more of that every day. So if you're motivated, that's great. You can let us know, and we can make that happen. Also on the first floor, we have Hervé Cadieux. Where is he? There he is, hiding out in the back. ISU alumni and artist who is going to be doing some small format painting on demand. You might have also noticed, but there are also a few paintings that are displayed downstairs and upstairs as well. So have a look at that. That's going to be a really nice addition to the evening. So thank you, Hervé, very much. And then lastly, I understand there's a little video call that's planned for those of members of the ISU community who couldn't be here tonight. There are a few who will be available online, so you can also pop into one of the rooms on the first floor, give a little wave, say hello, and I think that's going to start at 8 o'clock? 8 o'clock, good. So 8 o'clock, head upstairs, give a little hello, and say hi to those of us, those members of the community who couldn't be with us tonight. Before we do all that, though, we've got a few updates about what's new at ISU. And so I'd like to kick that off by introducing the chairman of the ISU board, Dr. Christian Salberger. So welcome, Christian.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dane. Thank you, Dane. Yeah, pleasure to be with you here and at this great gathering of alumni and current students and faculty and staff. and the board, as Dane mentioned, the board had a number of committee meetings today, but then tomorrow is the formal board meeting. They put their hands up earlier. Please do speak with them. The board, they all donate their time to help provide governance to ISU, and so it's something that I think all of us that serve either on the board or on the academic council or other of the ISU bodies really are excited by ISU and the potential really that ISU has to be a force for the good in the world, a changer for humanity in a very positive way. And those of you that are in the MSS class here are experiencing that. I think some of the great things that ISU can provide. So I won't take up very much of your time. I will note we have former president of ISU, Juan de Dalmau. Maybe some of the alumni here were here when he was it was a very pleasant surprise to see you here, Juan. Earlier today, recently just joined the board, Mike Simpson, former president of ISU. I see his wife, Carol, here. Those so ISU has had some great presidents over the years, but I won't take any more time because I wanted to leave time for you to hear a little bit more from our new president. We, as you probably know, we conducted a very thorough search campaign and have identified the best person to lead ISU into the future, and it's Dr. John Bensween, who has just taken over as president about 5 months ago, and so relatively new, still on the job, but has some great vision and great modernization for ISU, engagement of alumni, all of that. So I'd like to pass the floor to John. Please welcome ISU's president.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Well, hello, ISU. Juan, what year is it that you started here?
It was in the last millennium.
So back in the last millennium, I was also here on campus competing with Juan for this job. That was my first introduction to ISU. And then I competed for the position again, but somebody named Pascal Ferdinand got the job. And the third time, I was like, I don't know about this. I just don't know. But I was like, you know what? I want to do this. So I was traveling in South Africa last July after applying, I think it was March, and things were happening, and I was on 6 nights on a safari with no technology. And when I did get to technology, my phone was blowing up. It was texts, it was phone calls, it was emails. One of them was the chairman of our board, wondering why I wasn't responding to him, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm going to take some liberty and lie a little bit and say he's like, John, why don't you call me back? If you're not interested, just let me know. But I was interested, and we had a phone call from South Africa, and that started the ball rolling, and I joined officially on September the 1st. So I had a little bit of background on what ISU was, and 37 years of history, and I've always had this vision going back to the last millennium when Juan was hired, that we could really do something with ISU based upon that history of what we've accomplished to date. And there's 4 things that I live by in terms of how you create a strategy to be successful. And you have to be very knowledgeable on global trends, global challenges, and global opportunities so that you can create strategies to be successful. And when you think like that, in everyday conversation with anybody, it's just a little piece of trivia. If you know about trends, challenges, opportunities, and strategies, you can talk about anything and cover a whole 360 view of that. And when I was given the opportunity to join ISU, it really kind of was a dream come true because I've had an interest in space since I was very, very small. And I was born and raised in Vancouver, Canada. How many Canadians are in the house tonight? 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow. Okay. Go Canada. Welcome to the United States of America. I'm your new governor. I'm sure you're up to speed on global politics right now. But I was born in Vancouver, and I was about 3.5 years of age when my parents decided to take our family on our very first airplane ride. And my parents dressed me up in a U.S. Air Force flight suit. I was a little Top Gun guy. And we were jumping on an airplane called CP and it was a Boeing 747, big bright orange aircraft. And we were taxiing from the runway, to the runway from the terminal, and we were going to Honolulu, Hawaii. I've done a whole TED Talk on this experience, but I'll make it a condensed version. And long story short, one of the engines caught on fire, and the airplane came to a screeching halt. They deployed the slides, and we jumped out of the airplane, and that was the day that I caught the aviation bug. And I wanted to become a pilot. So I tried so hard to learn how to fly airplanes, and my parents, unfortunately, just didn't know how to mentor me and put me into that pathway, and it was up and down, but it was like airplane, 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 and I could identify an airplane just by the sound of it going over my head. And as I got a little older, I started flying and taking lessons, and frankly had more hours in an airplane than I did in a car at the time, and decided, you know what, I want to be a commercial airline pilot or an Air Force pilot. And my parents said, no, you need to go to school, you have to get a degree, and that's the pathway you should take. So I sort of followed that advice. And I did an undergraduate degree at the University of Victoria on Vancouver Island in British Columbia. And I had an incredible faculty mentor, and that's why I have a great appreciation for faculty, because he was the most influential person in my entire life that set me up on a course to accomplish great things. And he believed in my number one rule. And for those that know me, what's my number one rule, Bertrand? That's right. There are no rules. And within legal parameters, of course. I picked on Bertrand because I asked him that question yesterday and he forgot. So now he remembers. So sorry about that, Bertrand, but thank you for remembering. And as I went through my undergraduate degree, I had this aspiration to really think about, do I join the Canadian Air Force? Do I look at the aviation industry, but I really would love to go to space. So I applied to the Canadian Space Agency at the time, and it took 7 years from the time that I applied to the time that I got my rejection, and my dreams were absolutely shattered. And the Canadian government was downsizing at the time. There just wasn't a fit, but I did get accepted to the Canadian Air Force for pilot training at the exact same time that I got accepted to a master's degree and then consequently a PhD program in the UK in Cardiff, Wales. And with a little kick from the parents, I ended up in the UK, and I was doing something within the world of aviation, aerospace, international air transport, and there were a lot of things that happened between that journey, but I really still had this fascination with space and truly believed that I would never be associated with it. I would never have an opportunity to go, and what's plan B? And it's always been in the back of my mind. And that was one of the fascinations with ISU when I truly learned about what it was, that this might be my ticket into the world of space. So I started doing things more focused on space about 5 years ago in the US, really working on incubators and accelerators and startups and scale-up type companies, and still had this dream. And when this opportunity came, it was really a no-brainer to get here, because I could see what the future would look like, and I could see ISU's role in that future of the new space economy. So how many of you have heard about the new space economy? Okay. Now, how many of you have heard about the new space economy? It should be everybody in this room. But the new space economy is truly an economy. And we're living in this age of mega acceleration and mega disruption, and things are happening at a pace that we never anticipated before. So as a result of coming on board with ISU, I really did a stop, look, listen, learn exercise, but did it very accelerated, knowing that we had to make some changes and really pivot to support the commercialization of space, that privatization of space, but not forgetting about what the public sector involvement is. And if you think about how space started with the public sector, government, and how it's now turned around with private and government supporting, what does the future look like? And it's impossible to determine what a decade from now looks like because things happen so fast. It's really impossible to know 5 years from now. However, with that said, we've now established something, and it's now complete, and it's now being implemented, and it's called the Moonshot 2030 strategy. Would anybody like to take a guess why the year 2030 is part of the title? other than it's 5 years down the road. 2030 is the forecasted point in which technology is accelerating at such a fast race that humans will not be able to adapt to the technology that's evolving. It could be a crisis situation, it could be an opportunistic situation. And it may or may not happen in 2030, but there's a convergence point that's going to happen where technology and humans are going to collide. And what happens if technology begins to grow faster than the human's ability, the brain, the skill set? And you've probably seen some of these sci-fi movies where robots take over the world. I don't think that's going to happen, but you're definitely going to see more robots doing things. So this is an amazing opportunity for our moonshot, and I'm going to explain a little bit about what it is. I came into ISU not to treat it as a university model, but to treat it like a business. And we have to be very concerned about revenue and expenses and profit and loss, as you would in a business. And although we're a non-for-profit organization, which is great, it doesn't mean that you can't profit. So what we are doing is implementing a new plan that's focused on 4 themes, and the 4 themes are innovation, technology, entrepreneurship, and intrapreneurship. And some people ask me, well, what is intrapreneurship? That's working with established organizations to help them grow from within. So think about a space agency like a NASA and ESA as an example, and think as an entrepreneur, but within that established environment. And those 4 themes have been incorporated into this Moonshot strategy. And we're also looking at 3 very specific buckets in terms of how we expand. And it's revenue, it's philanthropy, and it's grants acquisition. Revenue is going to come through the diversification of programs. So it's academic programs, and it's our professional development programs. With that said, we have to be in tune with where the future is because it's here now, and ISU needs to be in the future now. So we're undertaking a huge exercise to evaluate all of our current programs and future programs to make sure that our subject matter content is in line with what the new space economy is demanding. So that means making revisions to content. It's sunsetting pieces of information, it's bringing in new content, it's adding to our faculty base to bring additional skill sets to what we already have that are in alignment with those themes of innovation, technology, entrepreneurship, and intrapreneurship. And the revenue is also going to come from these professional development programs, and I'll put SSP and SHSSP in those categories. How many of you have done an SSP or an SHSSP? So wouldn't that be an amazing pipeline into a master's degree or maybe a PhD? So we're now looking at the PhD as an opportunity in space studies, and we have an opportunity to create the world's first PhD that has a certain bit of uniqueness, but it's something that's being explored right now, and there is a market demand for it. On the professional development side, we will continue with our executive space courses, but we're also looking at creating short accelerated programs, 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day type programs, and adding certifications where we possibly can so that people can earn stacked credentials in addition to academic credentials or for professional development reasons to enhance their career aspirations. And with that said, I want to give you a quick briefing. I don't know how many of you follow me or ISU on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn is my most powerful networking tool that I can ever access. And it's an amazing way to have outreach and engagement. But did any of you see what happened in Florida this last week with ISU? Some of you did because you liked it, you thumbs up it. But in Florida last week, it was amazing. 2 weeks ago was a space conference in Miami where all of the money of space gathered under one roof for 3 days to talk about how you invest into the future space economy and what we like, what we don't like. And it was interesting to get those perspectives, which of course I brought back here that we can implement into our own strategies in terms of ideas. But last week in Orlando, there were 3 conferences under one roof. It started with the Global Spaceport Alliance Summit, followed by the Space Mobility Command Conference, which is focused on military, and then SpaceCom. And I participated in all 3 of those events. And the great thing about going to events is that things happen. And I'm not a fan of going to conferences or exhibitions unless there's return on that investment. So IAC last October, how many of you were at IAC by any chance? Amazing event? Huge. So the power of the network of that event really did pay off for us, and I'm going to give you a little sample of that in just a moment. But somebody approached me at the ISU booth with an idea. Hi, my name's Sterling. Hi, my name's John. We need to talk, and I'll tell you about what we talked about in just a second, and he's going to take the floor for a couple of minutes. But we created a partnership, and also at that event, somebody named George comes up to me, and he was very high up in the Federal Aviation Administration in the U.S. until he retired, and he's been to space, and he is now the chairman of an organization called the Global Spaceport Alliance, which is the official group for the spaceport world around the globe. And he said, we need to figure out a way to work together. So we sat down, we talked, and we'll figure it out. And I move like lightning speed. My team knows that I move very fast, and we're trying to catch up with each other, and I'm trying to slow down where I possibly can, but go, because the future's here. And while we were at that event, we agreed that we'd have some communication back and forth, so I took the liberty of creating a new vision for spaceports and went to the Alliance, and I said, why don't we co-partner and co-brand spaceport programs? And at that event, I was one of the keynote speakers, and it was the largest attendance of that event. It's growing year over year. And I said that the two organizations are coming together to create the world's first certification program in spaceport management and operations. And there was a lot of excitement. Now we have to execute. So I also use that opportunity to tell the audience that we need your help. And I'm sending that message to our entire population here and those within our global network, that for that specific initiative, we need course developers, we need instructors, we need ambassadors, we need host locations, sponsorships, and a whole lot more. And I have an extensive list of people that have already come out saying, I want to be a part of this. This is amazing. So we got to get out the door before one of the competitors steals our idea. But we've got the Global Spaceport Alliance, which is the most powerful component of all of that. And that's an opportunity for our alumni population. And I keep saying to our team that our number one asset at ISU are our people. And it's our employees, it's our alumni, it's our partners, it's all of the stakeholders around the world that believe in the ISU mission. Whether it's up, whether it's down, there are always challenging times, but that is our biggest support base, and we're going to utilize that. As part of this strategy, what I have heard is we haven't done a very good job of engaging and communicating with our alumni population, and that's going to change. And at IAC, if you came to our alumni event, which I understand was the largest collection of alumni in our history, I promised that we would do a better job of outreach and engagement, and we are going to live up to that. And we are going to make an ask of our alumni population. It's time, it's talent, and it's treasure. And wherever you feel you can contribute, we would love to be able to work with you in those three respective areas. And there's more coming, but there's a real strategy that we're developing to create that engagement. And this is a start. What we did tonight, we decided, you know what? We have our academic council, we have our board. Why not put together some kind of an alumni event where we can all come together under one roof and just enjoy each other's company and get to know each other a little bit more. And it's very important for me to make sure that you understand that you have an open door to ISU, whether it's to me directly or to anybody on our team. And we want to work with you, and it's two ways of conversation. So with that said, in one of our committee meetings today, something came up that was quite a concern, and I took it very seriously. And our alumni representative, Joan, who's all the way from Kenya, really triggered a conversation that led to a much larger discussion. And for our SSP 25 in Seoul, that's taking place this summer, there was supposed to be an alumni weekend, and it got canceled. So I'm here to report that that is no longer, and we are reinstating the alumni weekend, and we are going to work behind the scenes to make it work. So a lot of work to do, and there are challenges that go with it, but we are doing it, and that's another step to show that we're engaging our alumni. And I know there were a lot of people that were disappointed by that news, but it is moving forward. So thank you, Joan, for representing the alumni and then really educating us on some further details. So I'm really excited about that. And there will be more events, and when I'm ready, I'm going to take my dog and pony show on the road. And we're going to have alumni events all over the world, whether they're small gatherings or big gatherings. And we're also looking at doing something on an annual basis right here in Strasbourg to bring people back to Strasbourg. And for the huge population that have gone through our programs that have never been to Strasbourg, come and see what this place is all about. So we're exploring something that's kind of interesting. I don't want to give you too many details, but I have an idea, and I know our team does as well. And I think it's something that will become an annual event that people are going to want to engage with. I don't usually use scripts. I have a couple of notes. I just want to make sure I didn't forget anything. But as part of our global fundraising strategy that we're going to build, we're going to do a universal fundraising plan. It's going to be very intricate until how we do it, and it's going to be supported by many fundraising campaigns to support special initiatives. And one of the things that we keep on hearing from industry is that there aren't enough hands-on opportunities for students going through programs or working professionals that are looking for that new skilling, upskilling, reskilling opportunity. So as an idea, one of our faculty members, Ramson, where's Ramson? There he is at the back, one of our newest faculty, I don't know if he did this to be nice or if he was trying to set me up for something, but he said, get out of your office and come with me. So he literally grabbed me from my desk in the middle of something very crucial, a multi-million-dollar agreement I was trying to form. And he said, come with me. And he walked me around our class, and I saw the students with our CubeSat exercise and the design and the build and the test, and I saw the equipment that they were using, and when I walked into one particular room, I said, oh my goodness, this cannot be. And that's the room that many of our students know that has a pipe thrown out the window and a door that has to remain open to get Wi-Fi access for the laser printer. Well, we're going to change that. So one of our fundraising initiatives, as an idea, is to create an ISU satellite operations center that has real industry-based equipment that you simulate different types of exercises and also have the ability to track real-life satellites in space. Those are the types of things that we're listening to, and we're also looking way beyond that, and one of our board members brought forward an idea today that we need to focus on showing people how to create hotels in space and all the things that go with that. So some exciting things that are happening, but that's a perfect example of a fundraising initiative that's targeted, that will capture the hearts of others, and we can start to build more infrastructure at ISU based upon what those needs look like. So I'm sorry for our current master's students, but you'll come back as proud alumni and have the opportunity to play with all of these toys in the future. And they can also be used as training infrastructure for organizations where you can actually simulate, like flying an airplane, but in different types of environments. So our goal is to have more of that. One of our big global expansion strategies is called a satellite campus strategy, where if you look at the world and divide it into 6 regions of the world, including North America, Latin America, Caribbean, Middle East, Europe, Asia Pacific, Africa, those are the 6 geographic zones. Now imagine if ISU planted the flag in each one of those 6 regions over time, permanently, where around that flagpole, we're developing programs with local anchor partners like a space agency and another academic institution. Those are the ideal partners, and we're looking at academic programming and professional development programming that is co-invested by these partners, and then we start to hire people locally and do train-the-trainer programs so that we're building up the skill sets of those nations, those regions, and the gift sort of keeps on giving. And it's like a hub and spoke network. So Central Campus is the hub airport, if you will, and then the satellite campuses are the spokes that feed the mothership. And it's a strategy that's incorporated into this document, and it gets pretty detailed, but we're already starting the execution of that. And I'll give you an example. It's all but signed at this point. We're just waiting for the signing date, but we're forming an official partnership with the Space Foundation. Is anybody familiar with the Space Foundation? So it's truly the largest foundation in space. And they're based out of Colorado Springs in the U.S., and we are planting the flag at Colorado Springs to do joint programming, joint research, joint grant opportunities, and a whole lot more, and the ability to expand into a market that we are currently not tapped into. And I won't go into those details, but it's coming together, and Space Symposium in April will be the official announcement publicly that we have come together to partner. There's also an opportunity to get involved in a brand new initiative at Cape Canaveral, and it's called Space Base. It's the public and private sectors coming together under one roof in a brand new facility that's at a spaceport with a 16,000-foot hangar that will be completed in April, where you can roll assets in and out. So imagine a spaceship coming in and you're doing your program, or you're doing a fundraising event or something in that environment. And that discussion took place at the Global Spaceport Alliance, and it generated a lot of excitement that perhaps the spaceport program is based at ISU Port Canaveral or Cape Canaveral, depending on the location of it. But it's an idea that's starting to emerge. And we have several countries that we're speaking to, space agencies primarily, that want the ISU flag. So just today, we had a follow-up conversation with Bahrain and a UK university that has a Bahrain campus that's interested in space and does stuff in space, a collaborator, not a competitor. We're talking to the Egyptian Space Agency. In fact, I'm on my way to Cairo on Saturday to spend 2 full days in Cairo at the new space city. And it's the Egyptian Space Agency and the African Space Agency side by side in the new space city to talk about potentially planting our flag there. And there's a specific need. There are other regions of the world, a little bit premature to talk about them, but ongoing discussions, and we're extremely active about it. And people believe in our mission. And these big organizations are like, I need to be part of ISU, and it's kind of a wonderful feeling hearing all of that as we move forward. So that's all coming together, and then what I'd like to do now, because we can talk, when we go have some fun outside of this room, and there's a lot more to go, but we will be sharing contents of our strategic plan publicly, but in a different format than what we've shared internally, and it will be put into a digitized version, most likely a flip book type concept that reveals the high level stuff about what the strategy is and how people can help us moving that forward, because our best ambassadors are the ISU community. And going back to IC, when I said somebody came and said, hey, John, I'm Sterling, and hi, I'm John, this was kind of an amazing start of a conversation, and there's been several since October, and we have now signed an agreement with an organization called Forbes Space, and Sterling is a product of ISU. Was it 2016? 20? Oh my gosh, 23. Well, you're new. You're a baby. Okay. So 23, sorry. And we've had this discussion about how Forbes Space can help ISU by internally working with us to create a definition of what our brand really is and who we would align with in the world in terms of industry partners that shares a similar mission yet different, or could benefit from that relationship through sponsorships. So I don't want to give away all the ingredients. I'm going to call Sterling up here in just a second, and he can give an overview of what this is. But it's extremely exciting, a well thought out strategy with deliverables and KPIs, and this is going to be something that really helps propel ISU forward financially through securing these different sponsorships. And it's a moonshot strategy in its own right. But by the end of 26, I hope to be having a different conversation with you to show you what the progress has been as a result of this relationship. And Sterling will be at Space Symposium, walking the floor with me, as well as securing new opportunities. So Sterling, why don't you come up to the floor and explain what you're doing? But this is a very, very exciting partnership. And I'm also happy that we're giving back to the ISU community, and the ISU community is giving back to ISU. And if we could do more of that with our alumni network, that's the power of the network. And I'll just end by stating that the number one thing that I've heard from anybody that's been through one of our programs, it's a common denominator in all conversations. What's the most powerful thing that you get out of ISU? Our current master students might not get it yet, but those that have been through our programs will. What's the most valuable thing that you gained? The network, and not only the power of the network, but the in-person network. So when other organizations are going virtual, which we'll have a component to, we keep everything in person because it's this. And as it was said by Dane earlier, he forgot the other part. You're also going to get fired by these people. So it's the hire or fire. And they're going to be your best friends. And some of you are going to get married. And some of you are going to get divorced. But you're going to start companies together. And you're going to be in the news. But the ISU community and the space community is very small. So pay attention to who sits on your left and your right and backwards and forwards of you. And it's an amazing community, and it's uplifting. And I end every day with a smile, despite how my day went, because I can see the inspiration and the passion in those that I talk to. It's a very, very unique group. So thank you for your time, and thank you for coming out tonight. And again, we are your resource. We're open door, and please reach out to us, because we're going to be reaching out to you. Time, talent, and treasure. So thank you, and Sterling, the floor is yours.
Hi everyone, I won't take up too much more of your time because I know drinks are waiting, and I was sitting in your very spot 2 years ago, so I understand how tempting that may be. So a brief overview of me, just before we get into what John kindly mentioned ISU and Forbes Space are doing. So I have really been inspired by the space industry since I was very young, and I mean very young. My mother decided not to raise me on something like Sesame Street when I was young, but Star Trek. So my first word was in fact Voyager, not mother or father. So that gives you an idea of how much I've been immersed in the space industry, and ISU was really a natural fit for me. So it was a fantastic opportunity to study here for my MSS, and I liked it so much I'm back. So it's really been a great partnership that John and I have been discussing over the last couple months about really articulating what is ISU's brand, what does it stand for, how can we attract new partners into this institution, because ISU deserves to be on the global stage. It deserves to be known by everyone, not just in the space industry, but in the efforts of what our alumni help to do for humanity and for the sector. So I think at a core of what ISU is, it empowers space leaders to shape humanity's future. It empowers people to come together in completely different disciplines. I've talked to people who studied astrophysics and then went on to do communications. I had people come up to me who, myself included, studied humanities like history and philosophy of science was my university degree, and now I'm doing space commercialization. So ISU has an extraordinary talent to bring together people from so many different disciplines and teach them what really matters in the space sector and how we can work together to help achieve what some may say is impossible. So it's this mission that we really want to communicate to people, to brands, to partners, some of which are already partners of ISU, some fantastic institutions. But we need to look at how we're going to shape that message to be more powerful. So we've targeted three main approaches. Endowment, of course, alumni engagement. I'm one of you, so I want it to be as engaging as possible. And of course, branding partnerships. Now, you don't have to just trust me on this strategy that we've been developing over the last couple months. It's all the affiliates that we've been working with as part of Forbes Space. So this includes people who used to be the vice president of Euroconsult, now Novaspace. It includes people who have run sponsorship teams for Formula One and global GT racing as well. It includes people from various different continents, countries, disciplines. They've all come together on this strategy for ISU because if they've been through the program or they've seen what effect it can have on the industry. So we've come out with this strategy. I'm sure it'll be part of John's document in some form in the moonshot as well. Be very happy to discuss in further detail with you about some of the more finer points. And if you have any ideas, you're more than welcome to discuss with me for branding partnerships, endowment, or alumni support. But in the end, what really matters, and I would like to paraphrase a great space visionary that you all know, John F. Kennedy, and he said that, not in these words, but I would like to paraphrase them, do not ask what ISU can do for you. You all know where this is going, but ask what you can do for ISU. So with that, I would like to say thank you. Thank you all for being here. And I hope, as John said, in a year's time that we can gather together with an ISU that is a lot more powerful, a lot more well-known in the industry, and is capable of doing some very great things. Thank you.